Yeah, hello?
Yo, hold on. Let me do my mic thing. Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm just gonna go over the syllogism again. And
Yeah, I'll type it
first of
out.
all, it, yeah, okay. And I am just gonna for the rec, I am gonna affirm the proposition again. So the proposition I am gonna be affirming today is that error theory is true. And I'm just gonna give my syllogism. So P1 just says if objective moral properties existed, then they would have action guiding intrinsically prescriptive normative force. P2 says that no properties with intrinsically prescriptive normative force exist. And that leads to the conclusion one, that objective moral properties do not exist. And then P3 says that if objective moral properties do not exist, then all positive moral judgments are going to be systematically false. And then that leads to the second conclusion that all positive moral judgments are systematically false, which just affirms error theory, obviously.
Okay, cool. I guess I can just ask for the argument for P3.
Okay. Yeah. So, the motivation for P3 is just that, we want to say that, or sorry, when someone asserts or makes a claim that stealing is wrong, they're not merely just saying that, they dislike stealing or that they disapprove of it or that their society condemns this type of thing. The claim that they're making is just an assertion of a certain type of moral property, which is wrongness, right? When they say that this action's wrong and that you shouldn't do it, that's instantiated by stealing. So, if there are no such properties, then each assertion that we make when we're giving these types of claims are making some type of error and are making just a false claim altogether, given that there's no properties that we can index these types of things to.
Yeah, what's the argument for the semantic thesis?
When you're talking about the semantic thesis, are you just asking what's the argument that there's no types of properties that exist, or what?
No, I'm asking for the argument that when people use more language, they're referring to some type of objective property, as opposed to something like non-cog or subjectivism, because you would deny those as well. So we would need motivation for the semantic
No,
thesis.
yeah, if you think that if you think that error theory denies non-cognitivists, obviously, that's a retarded take. Obviously, that's not true,
That's
given that
trivially
that
true.
type
If you read Mackey or Joyce, it's obviously a cognitive thesis because you're saying that all the judgments are
of
false, and falsity only applies to propositions. Right? If you're
son,
non-cog, moral
not,
propositions
not
can't be
true.
false because they're not propositional. Do you not know that only propositions can be true or false?
Obviously, I know what a proposition is. I know why you're talking to
Yeah.
me like
So
you're
then,
talking to a third grader,
error
but I'm
theory.
just going to talk over him since he wanted to interrupt me. But look, obviously, quasi-realism and certain types like emotivist view or expressivism, those aren't the types of views that error theory could I guess contends with. Unless you're taking some type of type B error theory view, to say that there are certain types of moral judgments that are true in some just type of defeasible sense, then obviously that would be the case, but that's not the type of position that I'm holding to today.
Wait. So to be clear, the argument doesn't tend to establish that all of these moral judgments are false, right?
That's what I'm stating, and that's what the syllogism
And
stated. Then,
falsity only and only propositions can be true or false.
yeah,
So
only
then it's a
propositions could be true.
cognitivist thesis. Thank you. So let's get the argument
Sorry.
against something like non-cog or the argument against something like subjectivism because you're denying subjectivism, right? Obviously, if you read Mackey, he obviously if you just read Joyce's first page, he says something like he uses the phlogiston example, and where when we use moral language, we're intending to pick out some fact of the matter, but there is no fact of the matter. If you're a non-cog, you don't intend to pick out some fact of the matter, or you don't think that normal people intend to pick out some fact of the matter. So we're gonna need the argument against something like non-cog.
Yeah, that's fine. I can just give the argument against subjectivism. Yeah. So obviously, the moral subjectivist view just wants to say that moral truths are nothing more than just our attitudes or preferences or just approvals. Given something, and then this is just going to be the argument against it. Obviously, if subjectivism was true, then moral disagreements would. Or yeah, moral disagreement is impossible because of the fact that each person is always correct about their attitudes, and that's just given through their beliefs and stuff. So
Wait, what's the modality
obviously,
of
it's true.
impossible?
Yeah, when I say impossible, I'm just talking about um, just some type of physical modality. That's fine.
Can you explicate what physical modality is? What is that?
Yeah, just when I say physical modality, I'm just talking about within the physical realm of reality.
Within the physical realm. Okay, look, just give an account of what it means to say X is impossible under this modality. Like when we say something is impossible and we're using this modality or whatever, what is being said there?
She said, hold on.
Okay.
Sorry. My mom was in my room, but What was the question that you were asking me?
Yeah, I want a reduction on what it means. Like when we use this type of physical modality you're referring to, what does it mean
Oh
to
yeah,
say
I said
X
that.
is impossible?
Yeah, I
What is
said that
that?
I
What
was
does
talking
impossible
about.
mean?
Yeah, when I say impossible, I just mean that it can't exist without some type of contradiction or some type of law being violated there.
Can't? That's another modal term. I don't know what that's saying. You use the because
Okay,
impossible is
so
synonymous with can't. So
yeah,
I don't.
I'm just saying that just under some type of like conceptual idea or just analytically speaking, possibility just means that. Or yeah, when we're talking about conceptual impossibility, we're just saying that it's impossible
Physical.
given the type of meaning of the term or just the definitions that are involved there. So under
Wait.
subjectivism, they
So
would say
wait. Hold
something
on.
like murder is wrong, or and that just equals to I disapprove of murder. That's obviously analytically true, just giving the type of view that subjectivists hold
Wait.
to.
Hold on.
And then when they say that murder is not wrong, and they say that I approve of murder, so those types of claims
You
aren't
used another
contradictory. It's
modal
like
term
they
in
give
your definition of impossible.
uh,
I don't mean to
I
interrupt.
just explained the sorry.
You said impossible means that it's impossible relative to some analytics or something like that, but that's circular. I don't know what that. I'm confused on what that's saying.
How is that
At
circular?
that because you use the definitions and the definiendum.
Son, you understand that when I say you know what it means for something to be conceptual and analytic. You're not saying that those types
No,
of
I'm
things are
asking
modal
when you
terms,
get
right?
look like imagine you asked me to define the word dog, right? And then I say, oh well, dog means a dog, right? Obviously, that's a circular definition. So when I ask you what it means to say something's impossible, right, and you use the word impossible, I don't know what's being said there, right? We can't get clear on the terms.
I just explicated what that meant, and I explained the type of modality that we're operating under. What are you
Look,
talking about?
X is impossible. If what? What are the conditions?
Yeah, I just mean that it's impossible in some type of conceptual sense or just analytically.
No, I'm asking what does impossible mean?
Okay, so he doesn't know what impossible means. I mean, that's fine.
It's a modal term. It's not univocal. There's not only one account of impossibility.
of
So
course,
I
that's
don't know
why
what.
I wait, sorry, you're not tracking again. That's why I just said that we're using it in a conceptual sense. So when I say that it's conceptually impossible, that just means,
Yeah, what
and
does
this
that
is in
mean?
plain English, so just let me know when you're not tracking. Something that is conceptually impossible is when it can't be given in the mean or sorry, it can't happen given the meaning of the word or just the definition
Can't is
of
another
something.
modal term.
Yo, is this
Can't is just to say that it's impossible.
Your thing is retarded. Um, look,
So
I
it's
mean, honestly,
impossible if it can't.
if you're just saying that, like if you're just saying that it's, or sorry, if you're just saying that you're not accepting that, given
No, I'm
the
saying I
type,
don't know what's being said. What does can't mean?
it, okay, I mean,
I'm not even trying to be pedantic. Like I'm genuinely not. I just have no clue what's being said.
okay, you don't know what can mean. Okay, yeah, when I say can't, I'm just
That's
saying
another
like,
modal term.
yeah, that's what I was trying to explain. I'm just saying you're not able to, or that it's impossible to do. So not able to just means like, for example, you can't lift 500 pounds, and I'm not able to. That's just all that means
So
there,
so
and
impossible, and
that's
this is just
primitive.
this is just what it reduces down to. It is impossible to conceive of the thing. So X is impossible when it's impossible. What is
I
that?
just
What is that
no,
saying?
that's not what I said.
That's
You're not
literally the
tracking.
reduction.
You're not tracking. You're not tracking.
No,
That's not what I said. I said
that's literally the
that's
reduction
not
because
true.
can't is
You're not
synonymous with
tracking. You're not
impossible.
tracking. You're not tracking. When I
That's
said
what you're
impossible,
saying.
I said can't. And then when I said can't, I said not able to. Obviously, that's primitive. And if you can't understand that, then you're just retarded.
Well, I don't know why you're insulting me, but
I mean, because
I'm
look,
just
I just
asking you to.
repeated to you this. I repeated this to you 5 times. That's why I called you retarded. I just said that when I meant
Maybe the audience
when
will
I said
understand
that
why I'm being
when I
confused,
said
but
impossible, I just mean can't. And then can't is just not able to. Given that this type of thing is primitive, it
you
doesn't
already
need
said
to be.
can't. You already said can't is synonymous with impossible. So all you're saying is that
That's
it's
fine. I can still
impossible
reduce
if
can't.
it's impossible.
I can still reduce can't, son.
Okay, reduce it.
Yeah, I just said can't just means not able to. Do you want me to
Not
reduce what
able
not
is
able to
another.
mean?
That's more modal talk.
Okay, so look, I just take that to be primitive. You're just trying to like get into like more semantics,
Able
and
is
it's
a
fair.
modal notion.
It's not. No, look, I just said that. Okay, obviously, this type of thing when we're talking about not able to, we don't need to even reduce these types of terms. That's like really, really bad.
Well, then I don't know what's being said because there's like 5 different accounts of what it means to be impossible in the literature, and I don't know which one you're using.
Okay, well, look, I'm just saying that these are often, or sorry, when we're having these types of conversation, these are often just primitive concepts. So when we say something like,
No, I don't think impossible is a primitive concept. That's why we
you
have
don't,
modal logic.
what? Holy shit. Okay, look, I'm just saying that
Possibility is not a
these
univocal
types
term.
of, yeah, okay, listen, I'm just saying versus the conceptual idea of something and then versus the type of physical reduction there, like when we make conceptual statements like, just like a bachelor can't get married, and that's true by meaning, and then, um, obviously, when arguing against subjectivism, we're
That's
talking about
logical
any
modality.
type of conceptual. Uh, that's why I said, sorry, son. You understand when I
Are,
said conceptual impossibility and analytic possibility, obviously that's opening us up to the logical modality. That's what I said.
so you think it's logically impossible for people to
When
disagree if subjectivism is true?
when we're talking about oh my gosh, bro. When I said that when we're talking about arguing against subjectivism, we're talking about conceptual impossibility. And you can just use the definitions and the logic correctly.
So you're saying it's logically impossible, just to make sure I don't misrepresent you.
Given when we're talking about types of when we're talking about moral claims under subjectivism,
Mm-hmm. You're saying that it's logically impossible
when
for
we're
people
talking
to
about moral
disagree.
claims under subjectivism, they usually these types of claims are just it's kind of it is impossible to say that to say that when you're making moral claims that either one is correct given the types of attitudes and given that people approve of these types of attitudes.
Wait, what do you
Hold on,
respond? Look, the question is really simple. I'm just asking. Oh, she said, give her a second.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to charge my phone, but what's the
Yeah,
question that you're asking me?
the question was really simple. I'm asking, when you say that it's conceptually impossible for people to disagree, all that's saying is that it's logically impossible? Is that what that's
It's
saying?
not purely
Yes
just
or no?
well, it's not purely just talking about some type of logical modality, but it's related. But when we're talking about logical modality, we're talking about logical possibility and impossibility. And when we're talking about conceptual and analytic modality, we're saying that something is conceptually impossible if it cannot happen given the definition or given just the meaning of the term, and then
Cannot is
if
another
it
modal
doesn't
term.
formally violate some type of logic there.
Look, I'm just gonna be. I mean, I don't even know where to take it from here because I have
I
no
mean,
clue what's
if you're
being
just
said.
not tracking like what's happening there, I don't know. Like
Well, it's not
that's
that
the
I'm
most I can
not
reduce it
tracking.
down
It's
to.
just that I don't know what's being said because when I ask you, because like okay, when I ask you if it's logically impossible, you said something along the lines of it's analytically impossible, and all that means is that it can't happen. But can't relative to what? What does can't mean? And then we're just gonna keep going around in circles. So I'm unclear on what
You
that
don't
means.
take it
So
that
you know,
can't.
I'm not even gonna press you on that premise anymore. Let's just say that's true, right? What's the argument for premise two?
Well, okay. Before we move on from that one point, I do just want to say something. At least Mackey's understanding of it, like subjectivism, and we can just and this is just broadly speaking, he thinks that subjectivism is just untenable. Like he's not saying that there's some type of or yeah, he actually is saying that subjectivism makes moral disagreements impossible because of the fact that if moral statements are just reports of attitudes, then both for example, making statement A or sorry, let's say person A is making a statement, they're saying murder's wrong, and that just means that they disapprove of murder. Then person B is just saying that murder's wrong, and murder is not wrong, so they approve of murder. So both of those statements can be true at the same time, and but because of the fact that they refer to different attitudes. So the problem there that Mackey just says is that in ordinary moral types of discourses, he we treat moral disagreements as genuine disagreements. That's the issue that he has there. So he says that it's a conceptual impossibility, and that's exactly what I was using. So I don't know why you're saying I
Well,
wasn't using that.
given that you can't explicate the term, I mean, I don't really feel. I mean, we can just move on from that talk. What's the argument for premise two?
Uh, okay. I mean, I guess that's fine. Yeah, I mean, just the motivation for P2 is just to say, like, obviously, or sorry, yeah, you know, I just want to be clear. P2 does say that no properties with intrinsically prescriptive normative force exists. So the
Yeah, I'm
motivation for
asking
that
for
is
the
that,
motivation.
and oh, okay, yeah, the argument is that, and this argument is more kind of indexed towards naturalism. I'm just going to be clear. Um, we kind of give this objection towards natural realists. And that's just to say that
Wait,
all
stop.
types of
I
natural
just want to make it clear. Stop. Just calm down. Look, when
properties.
you say something like no no properties exist, you're saying that there's not any of these, whether or not it's reducible to natural facts or not. So I don't know why you're attacking naturalism because I don't see like what that would do for you. But I mean, I guess we can just talk about like a broader domain because I don't see why attacking naturalism would even be something that
I
is
mean, I can give you
beneficial
the
to your
argument.
point.
Wait, hold on. I can give you the argument for non-naturalism, then naturalism.
I'm just curious
If
on an argument in favor of no properties with prescriptive force exist.
yeah, that's that's kind of what I was referring to when I said in a non-natural and a natural sense, but maybe you just didn't track that.
So
But it's fine.
you have two different
But,
arguments, or is it one? Or
yeah, that's when I address two different categories when we're talking about realism. There's non-natural, or yeah, there's non-naturalism and then there's naturalism. There's two arguments that I have to attack different domains because obviously they're different. Okay, so yeah. So for naturalism, it seems that when we're talking about natural properties, they're descriptive and not normative. So when we're talking about like charging and spinning and pain sensation, all of those different types of evolutionary advantages, none of those types of things kind of contain in themselves like reason giving force, right? They can describe what's going on in the world and what entities tend to do, but none of those types of things really say what you ought to do in some type of
eh,
categorical sense, and
is
they
it logically
attempt to.
possible?
Sorry, what?
Is it logically possible for there to be some reasons that are reducible to natural facts? Is
Um,
that logically
eh,
possible?
it might be. I mean, given if I mean under naturalism, given that you don't violate any type of law there, then it is possible. If there's
Yeah.
no
So
law
how are
being
you ruling
violated,
those
then
out? Because you just said that no natural facts would do that, but now you're saying it's possible. So how are you ruling those out?
so if we're okay, I just want to be really clear when we're saying that. Um, is it possible that these types of natural laws can explicate normative forces? I don't even actually I don't take it to be possible without additional normative claims. I don't take that
Oh,
to be
what's the
possible.
contradiction entailed?
It seems that yeah, I mean, look, if we're just speaking under just the logical modality, and I just want to be clear that we are operating under the logical modality.
Yeah, I'm asking for the P and not P, or just any derivation of a contradiction. You can do natural language; it's fine. I'm
Uh,
asking in some hypothetical scenario where there were these normative properties that are reducible to natural facts.
wait,
What would
what's
be the
okay? Wait,
contradiction?
okay, wait, what?
I'm asking in a hypothetical situation in where there were these normative properties that reduce to natural facts. What would be the contradiction?
Well, no, you have to. No, look, you would have to give motivation that there are certain types of
No,
normative
we're
properties
talking
that
about
exist in
possibility.
natural.
You said it's not
Wait, hold
possible,
on.
which
If I'm
means
saying
that it
that,
can't happen at
sorry,
all.
sorry, sorry, sorry. And the thing is, I never even made some type of impossibility claim there.
Yeah, you did.
If you want to motivate to say that there do exist normative properties within
I'm
natural
not saying that
properties
either.
that exist in the world. Okay, so if you're not affirming the claim, then it doesn't seem like I need to explicate that even more.
You
I
said
already
it's impossible, right? And then we use logical modality,
just
which would
given
mean that
if it's
it would
impossible, then
violate the
there's
law.
some type of
Wait,
physical modality, then that's fine. When we're talking about normative things, we're talking about, or sorry, we're
wait, just calm
explicating
down.
them
Wait, I
in
wasn't
some type.
finished speaking. I'm sorry, but look, you made the claim that it's not logically possible for there to be normative properties that are reducible to natural facts, right? Now, obviously, that means that it would go against some law of logic or something like that. So I'm just asking, what law of logic does it violate? If it's a contradiction, where's the contradiction? That's all I want.
Yeah, so I just told you, and maybe you didn't track. When we're talking about, um, uh, okay, look, because I'm a little bit confused. So when the claim says that, or sorry, what the claim says, or actually the way that Mackey talks about it, he actually says that it doesn't violate some type of law of logic. And when he
So you
says,
walk
or
back the
sorry,
claim you made earlier,
what
right?
the claim is that nothing in the natural world has intrinsically prescriptive categorical authority. He's just saying that, or sorry, there's no the type of possibility being that's impossible there is the type of conceptual impossibility. Like again, when
Wait,
I'm talking
but
about
to be
conceptual
very clear,
impossibilities.
when I asked you if it was logically possible, right? I made it very clear I was talking about logical modality, and you agreed that it
Why
is
do we
logically
only need to operate
impossible.
under logical modality? I don't accept that.
Well, I was asking you a question, and you affirmed
And
that
I
it's
told you that
logically
we were
impossible.
operating
So
under
are
the
you walking
physical
back that
modality.
claim?
I told no, look, I told you that we were operating under the physical modality.
No, when I asked you the question, I made it very clear that I wasn't talking about physical modality. I asked you, is it logically impossible for there to be these normative properties that are reducible to natural facts? You said, yes, it is. Right? Are you walking back that claim now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. So, I mean, I'm not very clear on this physical modality talk. So maybe we can talk about some other thing, like abductively or something, because most proponents of Mackey want to like
I don't need
motivate
to
this
give
claim
like
by
an
an
abductive
abductive
thing
case.
for that. But I just want to be clear. What was the point of you asking if it was logically possible or not?
Yeah, I was just trying to see because you made the claim that none of these properties exist. Now, I was trying to see whether or not you were saying that it was impossible, or if you had some other motivation. Like if you're saying that it's logically impossible, or you have some other motivation. If that's not what you're saying, then the question is, how would I rule it out, or how would you rule it out? But I don't understand that the whole physical modality talk. That just sounds like gibberish to me. I'm gonna be honest. I don't
Oh,
really think the
I'll
audience
explain
understands
why
it either.
part of
But
the physical modality. Given that we're talking about natural properties that exist in the real world, I think that we are operating under some type of physical modality. And then if we're not, then that just kind of includes and it kind of excludes the physical world a little bit. It kind of includes non-physical things that non-physical things that kind of supervene or interrupt with the type of reality that we live in. And I just don't think I don't think that's acceptable, at least in the conversation that we're having.
Interrupt. What does that mean?
I just mean that they kind of intervene with the type of physical, or just within the physical realm of reality. And that's just because I take some type of physical causal closure position for reality.
Intervene. Oh well, look. I'm gonna ask one more time. This is the last time I'm gonna ask you. I promise.
Mhm.
What is the physical modality? This is the last time I'm asking. And if you can't properly explicate it, or maybe it's a misunderstanding on my part, that's fine. I take full blame for that if I'm the one waffling here in this debate. But just explicate the physical modality one last time. If I don't understand it, then we can conclude.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, I did explain it before, but when I say the physical modality, I'm just talking about physical possibilities and physical impossibilities. And you can just think that or you can think that as, could it happen in the actual universe given the laws of physics? That's what you can think of it as.
So you're saying it would violate a law of physics if there were these normative properties that are reducible to natural facts. That's what you're saying?
Well, it seems impossible.
Okay, what law
Given
of
that,
physics would it violate?
given that when we're talking about normative properties, we're talking about abstract things, and then when we're talking about physical properties, we're talking about things that don't
Well, that's
violate any
denied in the
type of.
thesis.
It,
So
it
you'd just be
doesn't need
question
the
begging.
thesis. That's
The
that.
thesis
Wait, you
says that
think
the
that?
normative properties aren't abstract; they're reducible down to natural facts. So that's denied in the thesis itself. But regardless, all I'm
And that's
asking
why
is
there's the
what
gap
law?
there.
What? All I'm asking
That's,
is what law of physics would it violate if the thesis were true? What law? But also, I mean, we can get into the whole Humean talk about how I think laws are normative and not prescriptive. But look, what law of physics would it violate? And then we can discuss from there.
okay. Look, I would say, all right, that's fine. Okay, like when we're talking about physics and not talking about laws, the difference between normative statements and the difference between descriptive statements, when we're talking about descriptive and natural facts, we're just talking about what is, and that's governed by natural laws that exist in the world. And then when we're talking about normative and moral facts, we're talking about ought, and we're talking about what should have been done and not what is. So since they carry prescriptive force and they're not carrying some type of uh, physical or logical necessity, we're just kind of saying that nothing in the natural world has any type of categorical authority, given that it's intrinsically prescribing. That's
But
what
I'm
I'm
unclear on what
getting
that's
at.
responding to because you committed yourself, and I don't know, maybe you didn't understand what you committed yourself to, but you committed yourself to saying that if there were these normative properties, it would violate a law of physics. But given your explication of like physical modality, and I didn't hear a law that it would violate in there at all. Do you have one? If
Uh,
not, that's fine.
wh-
I can just grant you that it would violate a law of physics, and then we can talk about why I don't think the laws are normative.
okay, yeah, I mean that's fine. Okay, well, when we talk about the laws of physics, we're just talking about, I guess, like something like um, gravity or electrons and energy. We're talking about those types of things. And when I say that we're violating something there, or sorry, when we're violating something there, we're talking about. Listen, bro. I'm just explicating the laws of physics. Okay, these are the laws of physics there. So
Okay,
I'm
let's
just
say it does violate a law
saying
of
that.
physics. Why would that give motivation to say that these things wouldn't exist in reality? Because I don't take the view that the laws are going to be some type of thing that the universe would abide by, right? We've only seen like 1.5% of the universe. I'm granting you that it violates the law, but I don't know why I would think that the laws can't be violated in other parts of the universe that we haven't observed. Because the laws just go off of patterns that we've observed in the observable, but we don't have a sample size relative to the whole. So why would I accept that that would even be a motivator to say that these things aren't in reality? Because now you're quantifying
Wait,
over a much larger domain.
wait, hold on. Okay, what's the question? You're asking me why is it the case that normative facts can't be perceived through natural things?
No, I'm
Because if
saying
that's the question,
okay.
then
I'm saying, look, we're on the same page now. These normative facts that are reducible to natural facts, they violate the laws of physics. That's fine, right? All I'm asking is why would I think that things that violate the laws of physics can't exist in other parts of the universe? That's it. Because we've only seen 3%, and the laws go off what we've observed.
wait, hold on. Okay, well, I mean that's not. that's something I'm not gonna put my judgment on because we don't know much about the universe. I'm not like
But you're saying that these
like when
things
you're
don't
talking
exist in
about
virtue of that, right? Like you
I
say,
thought that when we're talking about like the physical realm of, I thought that we're just talking about things that we know of. I
well,
didn't know
to be
you're
clear, the argument
talking about
establishes
other
that there are
possible
none of
universes
these
and
things
stuff.
at
Like
all.
I don't
But your
like
argument says that there are none of these
I'm
things
just
at all, not
not
even in other parts of the universe, right? That's what your
what?
argument says? Yeah, your argument says that there are not any of these properties, even in other parts of the universe, right?
No, that's not what the argument says, bro.
So when you say
And
there are
I
none, so when you say, wait, just stop, calm down. When you say that there are none of these things,
um,
what is even being said there, if not that these things don't exist?
sorry. Well, when we say that these things don't exist, given if we're talking in some type of non-natural sense, or I don't know if you're talking in a natural or non-natural sense, given if we're talking about um in a natural sense, that's what I mean by those types of things don't exist. I'm just saying that they don't exist in the world that we know of. And then when I say I don't even think that when I'm saying in a non-natural sense, I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm just saying that
Okay, that's fine.
if
That made it a lot easier for you, actually. That's good. Why would I think that in the observable universe, the 3% we have access to, that these things
I don't
that
even think
things
it's
that violate the laws
3%,
of
but
physics.
sure, bro, sure.
Yeah, okay, we'll lower the number, 1.5. That's fine.
I
Why
don't
would I
even
think
think
that
it's
within
1.5. I think it's 99%.
the observable universe?
Yeah, it's 99%. 99.1.
Based on what, man? Like based on what?
Because we can see stars.
Yeah, let's just go to closers. Yeah, let's just go to closing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's just go to closing. You want to give your statement first?
What? Okay, I was trolling, bro. Okay, look, I'm sorry. I promise you I was just like, listen, no one clipped that. I promise I was trolling. I'm not, okay, listen, I'm not saying because we can see stars. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
Do you want to close? Because this is it's not
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
Let's close this. Let's wrap it
I
up.
mean, I don't really want to close, but look, can we actually let up Roma? Like,
Yo.
Oh
Alright,
God,
yeah,
Ash.
alright. Hold on. You wanna
Uh,
you wanna conclude this, Ash?
oh God, Ash.
no, because listen, it's obviously a fucking troll. Like,
Ash.
obviously we
Yeah,
don't have
Ash,
access
Ash,
to
you break,
99% of the
No.
fucking universe. So
Ash,
I'm like,
Ash,
Well,
Ash,
wait, can
Ash,
you
wrap it
drop
up,
Roma
bro.
because just drop, get rid
Yeah,
of it.
yeah,
I'll
bro.
bring you
Like,
back
obviously
up.
that's the
Look,
troll.
I'm gonna say for the record, I'm no longer debating. We're gonna go to closers in a second.
Nah, Ash, we can just wrap it up, bro. It's alright. Because you gotta
All right,
remember,
fine.
electrons are also the laws of physics. I don't know.
Actually, I want to get my closing first. That's
Alright, go
fine.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the audience just watched what happened. That didn't look very good on Ash's end. A lot of modality gibberish that honestly I kind of wanted to skip past, but we just kept coming back to it. I even like granted so many things to her, and there was like no, like we couldn't really take it anywhere. I was trying to be substantive and good faith, etc. But also there were so many things I could have not granted, but I didn't want to like make the conversation get stuck. I would say that Ash failed to meet her burden on basically all the premises. She didn't give ample motivation against non-cognitivism. She didn't give ample motivation against subjectivism, and that P2 argument was very, very tough. I don't even might not have even been an argument, but yeah, I concede the rest of my time. Ash, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I met my burden on the first premise and the second premise, given I was using Mackey's argument about how he rejects subjectivism in certain types of non-cognitivist views. And then for P1, I did clarify on by what I meant by certain types of semantics that he wanted to get about, or yeah, he wanted to talk about. I do think that when we're talking about certain types of words like can't or cannot or not able to, I do take it that these words are primitive and they're kind of we don't really need to reduce them. We don't reduce these types of terms, like obviously. And I think that anyone that actually has normal conversations kind of know that. But for the record, I do just want to say that I was fucking trolling about the star shit, and whoever doesn't believe me probably has a crush on their cousin. That's it, bro.
All right, where the judge at? They're gonna do post rec or?
Honestly, was there another judge? Let me see. Was I the only one here? All right, hold on, 1 sec.
And somebody give me pick perms, please.
Okay, wait 1 sec. I need. All right. I need to fill out this shit, bro. Okay. Yeah, we'll move to the verdict now. Yeah. So judge's verdict. might not be the best because there was only one. But yeah, judge's verdict here is that Capp has won this conversation, mainly on the fact that Ash was unable to satisfy the burden. Well, if we, go back to the original point of conversation, Capp asked Ash to provide a semantic thesis, such that whenever people are using moral language, they presuppose subjective terms or whatever. Ash failed to do that, as well as
That's not true.
Well, he
I
did
did
ask.
explicate that. You can go back in the rec. I did. I
You gave a
explained why
semantic
people that make moral judgments, they do explicate that. Or sorry,
No,
they
she's
do when
interrupting.
people.
Hold on,
Sorry,
hold on,
sorry,
hold on.
sorry.
Yeah. Well, there's a rec, right? Oh, and look, Sellers is here, so I can send him the rec after as well. Let me find it. But yeah, you were unable to meet that burden. There was also a lot of obfuscation on the terminologies you were using. I mean, we went from conceptual impossibilities to physical impossibilities to nomological impossibilities. So yeah, that's just gonna be my verdict for here. I'm gonna share the recording with Tron, and then he can give his verdict as well.